Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm Robert Aducci, and I am with Ulysses Spiel, and we are going to be talking about Torg Eternity Living Land PDFs today. So we put out a few polls on Twitter recently, and the first one was, "What do you want to do next on the Ulysses Grab Bag Show?" which is what you're watching right now, and we put out a bunch of our different games that I can walk through, and so those were The Dark Eye, Aventuria, adventure card game, Torg, and Fading Suns. And Torg just beat out everything else just barely, so we're gonna go over some more Torg stuff. Previously, we've gone out, we've done some character creation for Torg, and I did a walkthrough of the recent Isle products. And after you guys voted for Torg again, and like I said, just beat out everybody else. I asked kind of what you wanted us to go over, and the winner was the Living Land. So we're gonna go over the Living Land PDFs. I have the book here, but we're just gonna go through the PDFs. So let's start. And again, this is I'm relatively new to Torg, so a lot of this is gonna be me discovering it as well. I have the book. I've kind of thumbed through the book, but I haven't gotten a chance to really play it much. So this is me sort of as a new game master and someone new to Torg, kind of learning about it. So let's jump right in. So this first the first thing we're looking at here is the game master screen. So this is one view of it. I'll kind of scroll out a bit. You can see this whole screen, which is fantastic looking art. And then over here on the right hand side, you can see the axioms, the magic, social, spirit, and tech. Some Godbox. Those are cool. Some heroes, some storm knights. And then some of the Adinos, and then it kind of talks about the laws of two of the major laws of the Living Land, which is the law of savagery and the law of life. Pretty cool images. Everybody loves the idea of riding a T-Rex. I was just listening to sometimes I put my kids to sleep with some meditation, and one of the meditations that we were listening to was like a dinosaur meditation, and it talked about finding a baby T-Rex and riding it, having it grow up and ride it. It's kind of one of all of our dreams, isn't it? So let's see. Let's go take a look at the main source book. So here's the Living Land, and this one. Let's see. I did not grab one with the cover, so I'll just have to show you here. So here's the cover. Pretty nice looking. Adinos, or Baruch-Ka is probably who that is. The main sort of Dark Lord for the Living Land. And the back cover of it reads, "The Living Land is ruled by High Lord Baruch-Ka and his army of reptilian Adinos. It has taken over both coasts of the United States, the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and the mysterious White Zone in Canada. Where the Living Land rules, miraculous spiritual power is available, but technology rusts and fails. Ordinary humans and even some heroes regress and become ruled by their primal passions. There are amazing opportunities scattered amongst the Living Land's perils. The laws of wonder ensures that lost treasures appear in the misty and unexplored jungles. These treasures might have disappeared from Earth long ago, or they might be relics from cosmos destroyed by the High Lords. Whatever their different origins, they are resurfacing here and now for adventurers bold enough to discover them. Inside, you'll find new perks, miracles, and gear for players, new threats, foes, and plenty of dinosaurs. Details of the different regions of the Living Land, and plot hooks and events from the first year of the Possibility Wars." So that's the back cover text. And if you are in chat right now, say hello and let us know if you have played through the Living Land, if you've played in Living Land either in original Torg or in the new Torg Eternity. Let us know what you think about it. What are your favorite aspects of it? And so This is Welcome to the Living Land. So it looks like this is a bit of fiction, which is always nice. I always like when books start off with fiction, really to get you, to get you in to the game, which I love. This kind of talks about the near now, which is the Torg sort of description for kind of like what's happening, like why is this alternate reality. So that's definitely some interest. 1 year later, so kind of what happened in when the High Lords came, and the land changed, like what has happened and why sort of things have happened. So we'll start reading here a little bit. We're gonna do a few kind of reads, but mostly just kind of walk through. So the Cosmos of the Living Land is a world of primal adventure, a world where prehistoric beasts and lost civilizations mingle in a tropical jungle wonderland, a place both savagely primitive and hauntingly beautiful. The Living Land is the kind of cosm where the legends of Tarzan and Alan Quatermain would fit right in. It's a place where dinosaurs and sinister lizardmen priests threaten intruders, a place where ancient treasures and natural wonders beyond imagination lie waiting to be discovered by an intrepid adventurer. And I wanted to go over who is responsible for designing this. So obviously the original Torg design team was like Greg Gordon, Bill Slavicsek, and Douglas Kaufman, with Ed Stark, Greg Furshty, Stan, Brian Schoenberg, Chris Kubasik, Ray Winninger, and Paul Murphy. And then the Torg Eternity Living Land sourcebook was primarily, it looks like, written by Ross Watson. So Ross Watson is one of our main designers. He is currently working on Myth Tales of Legend, which is a role-playing game for the Myth the Myth board game. So if you were interested in Ross's design work, he is working on that stuff, and he is going to be our guest on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Timothy Brown and I. Timothy is our studio director for Ulysses International, and he and I are doing a weekly news show, and Ross Watson is going to be our first guest. He'll mostly be talking about Myth Tales of Legend, but if you are in chat and you have some questions for him about the Living Land, I'm sure he would be happy to jump in and answer those questions. So anything that I can't answer for you today, Ross can probably answer for you tomorrow. So if you have some questions, you want to see what Ross is up to, join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. Right here on Twitch. So there's some additional design by Shane Hensley of Deadlands and Pinnacle Entertainment fame, Daryl Hayhurst and Deanna Gilbert. Editing by Matthew Cutter, art direction Aaron Acevedo and Mike Schmidt. Layout is Thomas Michalski and Thomas Shook, and graphic design is Aaron Acevedo, Jason Engel, and Mike Schmidt. Additional graphic design by Stefan Brand. Cover was Gunship Revolution. They do a lot of great stuff for us. All right, so let's get back over here to the 1 year later section. So one of the things about the Living Land is, as I've kind of read already a bit, like it's very savage and sort of crude compared to our current technological aspects. And so this kind of says that the technological axiom of the Living Land is very low, limiting technology in the cosmos to roughly the level of Stone Age. Anything more complex than a simple wheeled cart does not function in Living Land. State-of-the-art weaponry consists of spears, clubs, crude shields, and armor, many of them crafted from the sturdy rock root. While cavalry consists of a dinos riding dinosaurs, currently dominates the battlefield, the Adinos have yet to explore the idea of war chariots, for example. So that kind of gives you a very basic. Let's see, Padre in the chat says, I've run a couple of adventures in Living Land. It's fun because it's dinosaurs against machine guns, Tarzan, and high spirituality. What's not to like? I agree. I think it's a very cool aspect. You know, one of the things I love about Torg was that it mashes together sort of every trope for every TV show and game that we love, and brings it all together under sort of like almost like a post-apocalyptic genre, a little bit, not quite post-apocalyptic, but there's a lot of overtones, I should say, of that. So the state of the war. This talks about, it says, the living land has expanded its reach outward from the maelstrom bridges in Canada, the Yucatan, and the United States. Much of the North America lies under the influence of Baruch Ka, although the High Lord's rapid expansion has slowed greatly after the explosive first few months. Many credit the United States military with halting the cosmos' growth, but the truth is much darker. The way possibility energy is harvested requires the planting of stellae, special markers that form triangular zones of particular cosmos reality. Only so many stellae can be active in any given region, and manufacturing more is a process that takes time, plus the time to successfully plant stellae farther afield in order to grow a cosmos footprint on core Earth. So it kind of talks about what's going on. This image says the Delphi Council with a renegade Dinos can be uneasy alliances, can be uneasy allies. Here's Chorus response, like what did we do when this cosm invaded core Earth? So it has kind of each different country's kind of responses. And the State of the Union, so kind of what happened with the United States. Spiritual upheaval. So let's see, it's been talked about that spirituality is greater. The axiom of spirit is higher here than it is in core Earth. So let's see what it says. The advent of the living land has sparked a religious debate in the U.S. like nothing anyone has ever seen. With direct evidence of gods and miracles, religious leaders and everyday citizens alike have begun to talk about religion in a new way. Many religious leaders in the U.S. have denounced Kidakales as sinful and false, while many Catholics are already in some confusion over the cyber papacy, which is what's happening over in France. A number of Christian faiths have come together to jointly deny Lanala's status as a goddess and claim that her religion is little more than trickery meant to sway the simple-minded Muslim leaders have made similar statements. Several of these churches have donated generous amounts to the Delphi Council, as well as sending several members to join the brave freedom fighters in the occupied zones. Skeptic groups and hardcore atheists have joined in, denouncing the spiritual miracles of the living land as merely unexplained phenomena and calling for a more rational investigation into the invaders' powers. So this is a cool, aspect that we in sort of in RPGs that are not based on Earth, we sort of, music is too loud. All right. Thanks, Dave Haynes. Let me drop that down. Oh, that's my desktop. Drop that down a bit. How's that? So one of the things with, as I was saying, with sort of non-modern games is that a lot of times our own ideas of religion and the games of the religion don't really come in conflict. But with Torg, since it is based on our modern world, any sort of ideas of gods that are not sort of native to our reality are definitely going to come up. So it's great that they sort of go over that a little bit and talk about what are some of the reactions to these events as we would in our own world, which I think is cool. And so all the ampersands says, I've run the day one Living Land adventure to introduce my players to the game. Lost Wonders are a great addition. It definitely broadens the appeal of running adventures there. Yeah, so that was one of the things that I've heard that was one of the new additions. I guess that wasn't in original Torg. So the idea of Lost Wonders, which I'm sure we'll go over later, is basically like every once in a while just sort of seemingly random wonders appear in the jungles. And it gives a reason to people to gives Storm Knights and just people in general a reason to be there, because previously it was just like a horrible place and like nobody would kind of wanted to go there, is what I understood of the old Living Land. While it was cool, it was just like, well, why do we go there? Well, Lost Wonders gives people and Storm Knights, Delphi Council, a reason to go there, which I think is cool. And Dave Haynes said that the sound was too loud, so I definitely turned that down. And I just wanted to give a shout out to this soundtrack is the Torg soundtrack, and it is it's called Torg Eternity Godbox, and it's by Orkpack. So Orkpack does I think all of our music for various soundtracks. So if you like this, we have this is available on DriveThruRPG. Speaking of DriveThruRPG, let me drop this real quick. So they're doing a really cool Play It Forward campaign right now. So if you go to DriveThruRPG and if you buy anything from any of their community created content programs, and for us that's going to be the Scriptorium Aventuris and the Infiniverse Exchange. If you buy anything from any of those programs, 100% of the money goes to the creator. So those two community programs are basically for the Dark Eye and for Torg, and they allow, if you as fans want to create content, you can put it up there. And right now, if you have content up there already, then between now and May 17th, all of that content, all of the money made from that content goes 100% to the creators, which is great. Normally they take like I think a 40% cut all told, or maybe it's a 50 or 60 even. Geez, wow. I'm not sure what the percentage are. I know it varies by content, so I'm not sure. But regardless, right now everybody gets 100%, which is great. All the creators. So if you want to find some cool content, looks like someone put out recently Pan Pacifica Tales of Intrigue. There's a Cosm card. Someone made the Akasha Cosm, which is like a sub-Cosm, I think. There's somebody made some Pan Pacifica cards, some Tharkold cards. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff that people have created that you can add to all the great official content that we have. So definitely check that out. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this on in the chat. So if you're in the chat, here's a link. Let's see. Looking in the chat, welcome, Warder Blue. You asked, do you think Ulisses will publish Torg content to Roll20? So yes, we are in talks with a group of developers who are gonna develop Torg, the Dark Eye, and Fading Suns, and basically anything we put out in the future, and they're gonna get them out to all the virtual tabletops that we think people are playing on. And right now, that's primarily going to consist of Fantasy Grounds and Roll20. I know there's a great fan-made Roll20 Torg sheet right now. If anybody has a link for that, go feel free to drop that in the chat for Wonder Blue. But that's out there now. But we are kind of working on all that stuff. So it might be a little while still. That stuff takes time to get in. But it's something that we're definitely interested in, and interested in supporting how you guys are playing right now. Obviously, lots of people are playing online. So let's keep looking through this. So that was Spiritual Upheaval. There's Harry. Harry, get it. And so the Transform. So when realities sort of overtake the base core reality, not only are these laws come into place, but the people there change to sort of fit the reality. So it says, when the reality of the living land transforms normal humans of core Earth, men and women become frighteningly primitive beings. Although still recognizably human, these people regress to little more than caveman-like appearance. All knowledge of technology fades, as does any experience with advanced social organization beyond the concept of a tribe. So that's a cool aspect. Everyone sort of regresses a bit, that's an interesting idea. There's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of not necessarily conflict, but just not understanding how people really were back then. Like, were we regressed, or was that like a different species? I don't know. There's a lot of interesting work about that. But this is cool for this game, that we sort of regress and become more primitive. Let's see. Wonder Blue says, that makes me so happy about the Roll20 stuff. So yeah, definitely glad we're sort of moving in a direction that you guys want. Wonder Blue says, would love to buy an adventure and have all the prep done for me. Exactly. Yeah, I play a lot a lot of games online, especially now that a lot of us are sort of quarantined at home. I've been playing tons of games, and once I get into these games more and really understand them more, I'm sure I'll start running them online. I've ran a couple of the Dark Eye games, but I've not delved into Torg. And doing these streams, even though I know, for example, Dave said, I hope Ross kind of talks about this. We don't have Ross. You're stuck with me. But I'm learning this, and I'm hoping that some people that are new here are watching this and are learning some of this same stuff with me. And those of you that are experienced and are walking me through things here in the chat, I really appreciate all of your comments, all of your background and history with this game. I know there's 20 years of history, which is awesome. So Dave asks, are you going to look at the backer archetypes and some created through the Kickstarter pledge level? Yeah, we'll see what we get through. So I thought I was going to get through a lot of content in one episode for when I did the aisle walkthrough, and it actually took me two different days to get through it all. So I will. I'm not sure if I'll get through it today. We'll see how far I get. So here is the major timeline events. So each of the source books for the different cosms have year one timeline events. So you can play wherever you want within a timeline. Obviously, you can play whenever you want. But the way the books are laid out is that it kind of gives you where it starts. So you could start on day one. Each cosm has its own day one adventures, day one missions, and so you can play kind of like from the very beginning from that cosm, which is cool and goes all the way through year one. And then in the future, in our actual future, we'll be putting out more books so that we'll go from year two on as well. So not only do you get year one content, we'll put out year two content and so on. As long as we keep putting out books for this game, we'll keep sort of updating. But there are, a number of cosms, and so each cosm needs to be kind of updated to go along with the time. So it's sort of like a rotation. And I don't think there's not really any sort of hard and fast rule of which cosm goes when. For instance, we were going to do, next we're doing Tharkold. So Tharkold will be the next crowdfunding. And then after Tharkold, we're going to do Ororsh, and then we'll get into Pan Pacifica later. So those are the last few that we've got to get done for year one, and then we'll start rolling into year two stuff. Dave says, cool, I have a backer archetype and would love to hear some feedback. Yeah, we'll definitely check that out. We'll see where we get into that. So getting back to this, so here's the timeline of events up to day 365. And then here are details about Storm Knights. And so Storm Knights are your player characters, and has a bunch of new perks and options to spend your XP. And so here you can play the Adinos. The Adinos are natives of the living land. They're kind of lizard-like humanoids who venerate the goddess of life and celebrate survival against all odds. After the invasion of Core Earth by the Reality Raiders, many Adinos have journeyed beyond their cosm and joined the fight against the High Lords. Most are eager for the new experiences, seeing each day as another test of survival. So there are a number of different kinds of Adinos, and you can take it looks like there's different prereqs for each one, and they kind of give you different bonuses. So there are the Blue Spine, the Bone Marked, the Far Walker, Razor Scales, Sata Eater, and Skin Shifter. So these are, they're kind of like different tribes. There's a Faith perk. You can take, and different perks within each sort of section. Chosen of Lanala, which is that's the Adinos goddess. Let's see. Padre says, if those year two and after books are kickstarted, my wallet will cry. Yeah, they will definitely. We've moved for Torg, we've moved away from Kickstarter specifically, and we're moving to Game On Tabletop. They just have a few other features that we like, so we'll be using Game On. But yeah, we will be kickstarting all of these, and they will all come, I'm sure, with the same amazing production values that we've given in the past. Here's some Fortified by Faith, Priest of Death. That looks interesting. In Kita Callus's creed, Godbox are priests tasked with dealing with death and dead things. It's an unpopular but necessary calling that has grown in scope as Baruch Ka's endless war takes the Adinos deeper into the dead places of the Cosmverse, and created the need for so many more funerals. Many Godbox have defected to Thrakmos and now directly serve Rex Stelek, but some remain true to Lanala and their original calling. A newly anointed priest selects 2 miracles from the Godbox list, plus the Ward Enemy miracle, available to all faithful. The miracles perks may be purchased for more miracles and does grant access to the broader Kita Callus miracle list found in Torg Eternity. That's cool. Here are some savagery perks. Animal Companion. That's cool. Who doesn't like an Animal Companion? This says larger numbers of Adinos are turning against those who remain loyal to Baruch Ka. Very cool. You could have a raptor, which is like a velociraptor. A pterodactyl Animal Companion. A saber-toothed tiger Animal Companion. Nice. Beast affinity, so you can be an animal rider. See, Dave Haynes says, "Tell me about it, Padre. I've backed the $500 archetype level for the first 4 cosms. Worried the economy will prevent that in the future." Yeah, you know, we're all kind of concerned about these things, but right now, kind of things seem to be sort of holding steady. You know, in some ways, a lot of people are online playing games, so hopefully, you know, we kind of figure all this out and things kind of get back to a bit how they were. Obviously, you know, not everything will go back to how it was, and that's probably a good thing. Hopefully we learn some lessons overall from this. So let's get back here. Beast Tamer, fast healing. Pre-Orcus is a beta clearance, so you've got to have, I think it's 50 XP or something like that to get to beta clearance. Ferocious. At least 3 adds and melee weapons are unarmed. The character remains wild and fierce, even in the most civilized environs. Once per scene, the character gains 1 BD of damage in making an all-out attack. This damage stacks with the law of savagery, if it's in effect. Hardy, Jungle Master. This character has mastered the art of thriving beyond the borders of civilization. The hero ignores any penalties to movement from forest or jungle terrain and surviving and tracking your favored skills in either environment. Scarred, Savage Strength, Vine Master, nice. In any environment with vines, ropes, or similar hanging vegetation, the character may climb dexterity meters each round, or swing 3 times dexterity meters as a run to any position at the same elevation or lower. Any tests to climb in such situations count as favored. Nice. Prowess, Poison Tolerance, that's cool. Smasher. The character is well practiced at hitting things with big heavy rocks. He ignores the unwieldy property of weapons. If used two-handed, any unwieldy weapon that doesn't already have the stagger property gains it. Nice, that's cool. Here's some social chest beating. When intimidation is an improved action, the hero ignores up to 8 points of multi-target penalties as long as the targets have social axiom of 8 or lower. Animals always count for this purpose, regardless of their cosm's axiom. That's fantastic. That is a great one. I love it. Primitive Allure. All right, so those are the perks. Those are great. I think those were super thematic for the Living Land. Very cool. I gotta tell you, I'm getting real excited. I was reading Isle and I'm like, oh, I want to play an elven dragon rider or a drake rider or whatever with, you can have pets there. And then I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, I want to play like an Adinos pet person. I love those sorts of characters. Have a saber-toothed tiger. That sounds amazing. So every time I'm going to read these, I'm just going to be like, oh, I want to play this. Oh, I want to play this. And then looking at the, also when I was looking at the, talking about the backer archetypes, Dave, when I was looking at the backer archetypes for Isle, I was like, oh, those are, they're so flavorful. And I'm sure when we look at the archetypes here, we will see the same thing. So here's the miracles. So these are basically this kind of spells that you can take. So the living land is steeped in spiritual power and pervasive sense of awe. Kitacales is by far the dominant religion of the realm, and the vast majority of its believers worship the path of life walked by optants. Gotax also have a place in Kitacales, and an entire other religions exist in pockets across the realm. The most common creeds and the miracles associated with them are listed in the available miracles sidebar on the opposite page. The spirit axiom is high enough that additional miracles become available to anyone with faith adds, and who meets the faith prerequisite, even without the miracles perk. Bless and curse may be attempted by anyone. That's pretty cool. So if you have faith, but don't have the miracles perk, you can still use bless and curse. That's very cool. 3 new miracles, grasping vines, invoke Lanala, and shape plant, are also available to Jakats as long as they have enough faith. So very cool. Ash cloud, blind, bloodlust. Here's the available miracles. Sorry. So if you're the different sort, depending on your faith, this will give you, tell you what miracles you can use. And Padre says, I bought all the boxes. I'm fortunate that I'm still working. I'm not really in danger of losing my job, but I know not everyone is in the same boat. Yeah, exactly. And the backer archetypes have been very cool, above and beyond the regular archetypes. Dave says, now I'm bummed. I missed the aisle walkthrough, and my archetype there is my favorite I've done so far. Don't be bummed. I don't know if I've got it up on YouTube yet, but that's going to be going up on YouTube. I'll make sure to put this one and make sure to get those up there, which is from Monday. So I'll put that out there, and you can check it out. Which is the one that you did, Dave? Bone blades. That sounds cool. Sharp and spiky spurs grow from the target's very bones. The target must have a skeleton, otherwise this miracle automatically fails. Sorry, insects. The process and effect is excruciating, dealing 2 shock to the target each round. The spikes make a nasty weapon, however, allowing the target to deal strength +2 damage as a bite claw attack and granting +2 bonus to defense against grapples. That's cool. Gotax of Rex Stalak often employ bone blades on their creations, since the drawbacks don't harm most undead. Nice. Dave says, I don't think we went over the backer archetype, just the pre-gen ones. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I just grabbed the regular archetype. So maybe one of these days I will then go through and look at those. Yeah. Dave says, I did the Noble Scion. He's wearing full plate, cape, and battle axe. Yeah, I think Padre is right. We just went through the pre-gen ones. So that gives me something more to look over one of these days. So Breath of Fire, Cure Poison. Again, these are the miracles. Conjure Poison, Earthquake, Flame Aura, Hunter's Ear, Grasping Vines, Invoke Lanala. Sister Clara, that's a badass looking nun. Nice. I like her tats. Very cool. Let's see, we've got a kill spell. This dark miracle invokes the corrupting touch of Rex Stalak, bringing death where once there was life. When cast, the miracle causes flesh to decay into the black, disgusting slime. The miracle inflicts 10 damage against living targets and ignores armor. The miracle has no effect at all against objects or unliving targets. That's cool. Regenerate. Thracanos fills his latest terrifying creation with the power of Rex Stalak. Let me zoom in a bit more here for you guys. Resurrect. The invoker petitions her deity to return the recently deceased back to life. The invoker must have a mostly intact corpse, which may not have been dead for more than 3 days. If successful, the target returns to life KO'd at his maximum wounds and with a permanent injury from defeat. That's cool. Let's see. Sculpt bone. Nice. The miracle's power allows a caster to shape dead bones as if they were made of clay, a process known as bone forging. The miracle worker may create weapons, armor, or other items from the bones of the dead, assuming there is enough bone available to create the item, the GM's call. A single average-sized skeleton has enough bone to create 3 clubs or 2 spears. Armor requires 2 skeletons or larger dinosaur bones. Nice. DN is 8 for simple object. For a simple object the invoker can hold in his hands. More complex objects are crafted using the item's value as the difficulty number, with a minimum DN of 8. For example, creating a bone-forged spear is a DN of 10. That's awesome. Touch of Time, Shaped Plant, Uncounted Spears. This miracle requires 2 spears. The character may throw a single spear per turn, and it is replaced by an identical one. If the spears are thrown in a turn, the miracle if both spears are thrown in a turn, the miracle ends and all spears vanish. If the duration expires normally, any thrown spears vanish, leaving the 2 originals in the invoker's possession. That's cool. So it kind of gives you unlimited spears as long as you throw 1 per round. The Gotak Dagger. Alright, and now we're into gear. Most of the items in this section are crafted by natives of the living land by hand, using miracles or with a combination of the 2. Manufacturing methods affect an item's axiom, so primitive items may be comparatively more expensive because of the time and effort involved in creating them. Some items come from the ruins of the lost world scattered throughout the realm. Bartering. Obviously it makes sense. It's kind of a low axiom. Probably don't have any money, so people trade for stuff. Foraging lets you just find some stuff. Sacred items. Using sacred items. So these are kind of like magic items, it appears. The living land is filled with spiritual power, and that power has at times manifested in objects and relics as well as people and places. Items that have been imbued with spiritual power are considered sacred. They are not eternity shards, for they have not been touched by Apiros. Instead, they are specially blessed by Lanala or other deities of the living land. Very cool. So here's some general gears, saddles, deep root. We'll have to see what that is. A survival kit, Delphi survival kit, Gara juice lotion, primitive survival kit, rawhide quiver and sandals, red thorn arrowhead, Stricala bulbs, tribal markings, Zen algae. So a lot of interesting things. We'll have to see what they are. We know what a saddle is. Survival kit kind of comes with your basic stuff that you'd want to survive with if you could. Kind of seems more like camping since it comes with a stove and a flashlight and stuff. So very useful. Deep root. These pungent roots are usually found in deep mud near large bodies of water. A storm knight does not need to breathe while the root is being chewed like gum. Typically, root lasts for about an hour before it's been chewed up. That's cool. Gara juice lotion. Some storm knights don't take the sun well, and clothing with coverage doesn't last long once it's exposed to the rapid decay attached to the law of life. Standard sunblock tends to transform quickly, so most tender-skinned adventurers rely on protection provided by the Gara fruit's juice. Nice. Let's see. We're only on page 30, so we got to get moving here. Yeah, see, we still got 20 minutes left. We're not even halfway through this book, so we're gonna move a little quicker. Here's some armor and shields, depending on where they come from. Bone forged armor, bone forged shields. Whoa, that is awesome! Look at that. What is that? War shell. Possibly the most unusual sacred item is not of Adino's construction at all. Rather, it is a suit of armor created by the vanished Ustana civilization. A war shell is made of smoothly rounded plates of waxy, steel-hardened chitin of an iridescent gold and green color. A war shell includes a helmet that fits over the back and the sides of the wearer's head, making it a good fit for humanoids and Adinos alike. There is no doubt that war shells are blessed with spiritual power, but there are many who question whether the deity granting that favor is Lanala or some other unknown force. A war shell increases the wearer's power, supporting and enhancing every physical motion. It provides a high level of protection, able to shrug off even powerful blows. That is awesome. That is so cool. I love that image. All right, some weapons. Missile weapons and addle. Always like to see those. I'm a fan of primitive weaponry myself. I've made I've forged, not really forged, but I've made some arrowheads and spearheads out of obsidian, so I kind of like primitive stuff. Rocked plants, beasts and vehicles. Nice. It's got all kinds of dinosaurs: Ankylosaurus, Brontosaurus, Hadrosaurus, Lockton, which are large aerial predators, light chariots, a monster truck, and oxen. That's pretty cool. Only a few rare individuals can manage to ride the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex. Velociraptor, poisons. The Game Master section, living land, and possibility energy. The color and symbol below represents possibilities specific to the living land. These possibilities are only earned during play in the living land, but may be spent anywhere. Unlike standard possibilities, these are only granted for role-playing and choices that reinforce the savagery of Takta Kur, or as the result of a living land Cosm card. Between acts, when you refresh possibilities, you may keep the same number of living land possibilities, or reset them to standard. On an attack supported by the Cosm's axioms, a living land possibility may be spent to add 1 bonus die to damage. However, this violent energy comes with a drawback. When used to add a d20 to a skill not supported by the axioms, such as land vehicles or even persuasion, if the argument depends on advanced social concepts, there is no minimum result of 10. That's cool. So it gives you a bonus, but if you use it at a time that isn't tied to living land, it can have detrimental effects. That's pretty cool. War zones. So this living land is spread across much of North America, from the Gulf of Mexico to as far as Canada. The reality raiders from Takta Kur, which is the living land, struck hard and without mercenary, overwhelming the core Earth, defending with a combination of the Cosm's axioms and the brutal force of Adinos warriors. So it kind of talks about each of the different areas, the East Coast, a little bit of a map call out, talks about holdouts, Washington, D.C., the Arkansas, Philadelphia, Gettysburg, devastation of Georgia and Atlanta, Miami, the deep mists. Storm Knights journeying into the living land must keep a wary eye out lest they be caught unaware by tendrils of the sinister fog. That sounds cool. The Gulf Coast, Mexico and the Yucatan, Cuba. There's some maps of this. It says first toxic gas started bubbling up from the fissures in the street, and then the fire started. Everyone was running and everywhere and expecting dinosaurs, but they never came. From Fort Worth. The Art of Blood. The City of Gold. The Midwest, Chicago, Festivals of Death. The Ozarks and the Mississippis. What? Truly Dead thing. Nice. That's like a digital dinosaur, or a robotic one anyways. That's cool. And scary. Let's see, the Open North. So this was like the mystery section where it's like the up north in the white zone. Nobody really knows why. I'm not sure kind of what it says in here, and just so we don't, in case there's some spoilers, we'll kind of skip by some of that. Obviously, there's some spoilers in here, maybe for people that don't know anything, but I want to make sure that it's not too spoiler free, unless we give a spoiler, unless we give the spoiler notifications. And so whenever we do any of the adventures, I'm sure we'll go through some of the adventures, and we'll give, those will have major spoiler warnings on them. All right, where are we at over here? Still on the West Coast. At first we thought it was the deep mist covering Seattle, but it was dust from the buildings coming down. Nice. Seattle, Crater Lake, which is cool. I've been there. It's beautiful, beautiful spot. Aurora Splinters, Mount Rainier, Nightmare Trees. Nice. The Redwood Forests, the wonders below, cave entrances, cave types, underground hazards, deadfalls, floods. It's a cool image. Vast new caverns stretch underneath the living land and core earth. That's cool. Got some underground stuff to explore. Gases, darkness, submersion. And now we're going to get into reality. So here are the axioms for the living land. We got a magic 1, social 7, spirit 24, tech 6. And then it kind of talks about the individual axioms and what that means for the living land. And then the world laws. So we haven't really gone over these yet, but each cosm has their own laws, and it's what makes the laws differently. So if there weren't these laws, you could make you could say this land is savage, and maybe the GM and the players would describe those sorts of things. But in Torg Eternity, the world laws enforce it with game rules, which is cool. So law of savagery means, for example, rage. In the living land, facing one's foe in combat often leads to fierce, brutal blows with little to nothing held back. This law has a major effect in combat. So savagery, when an attack is an approved action, a character who successfully uses the all-out attack option adds an additional bonus die to their damage value. This adds to the existing +4 for the all-out attack option, or all-out attack, and the attacker remains very vulnerable. So that's how that's one aspect of rage, or one aspect of the law of savagery in the living land, which is cool. Appearance, so things look more savage. In any pure zone of the living land, the law of savagery has noticeable impacts on characters' appearance. First, clothing becomes very susceptible to damage and outright destruction. After spending a few days in the living land, characters are likely to find themselves clad only in tattered shirts, loincloths, and headbands or bandanas, which is cool. Physical attraction. The law of savagery heightens physical attraction. Any two creatures of the opposite sexual orientation appear more attractive to each other, and characters who are already interested in one another often find their emotions flaring towards boldness and passion. That's awesome. The law of life. Variety is the species of life. Life finds a way. So characters always have an up result when rolling for defeat. So that's kind of cool. Life versus death. The law of wonders. We kind of talked about this a little bit. The living land is a wondrous place, filled with sights that stagger most visitors from core Earth. Ruined temples from fallen cosms lurk within the depths of the jungles, while massive pyramids are built by primitive societies who should not be capable of such feats. Even the architecture of nature is taken to another level, with extensive cavern networks and impressive natural formations. Wonders of nature, wondrous engineering, and some minor world laws. Although each cosm is described by 3 major world laws, there are technically many more that shape the world's development and nature. Most of these laws are aspects of one of the major laws or contribute to them in some way. So there's the law of decay, the law of scars. That's cool. Life in the living land is intense and brutal, and those who survive the various perils found there bear scars to prove it. Experts disagree whether this effect has more to do with the law of savagery or the law of life. Wounds heal quickly, but always leave prominent scars. Primitive cultures universally respect such scars as signs of power. Conversely, scars on a villain or creature act as a warning sign to Storm Knight. Such foes are unusually experienced and tougher, with skills and attributes 1 or 2 points higher than a standard specimen. That's cool. Law of variety, travel, and in the environment. Whoa, what is that? Although called dinosaurs, the beasts of the living land are not the reptiles of Earth's distant past. That's fantastic. Nice. That is a freaking looking dinosaur. All right, let's see. Flora and fauna, travel in the living land. Travel times. Travel distances per hour. Non-natives in travel. Vehicles. We're just scrolling through here. Underground travel. Tell me the physics in this crazy place still support parachutes. Hopefully it does for them. And Baruch Ka and the invaders. So Baruch Ka is Sar of the Adinos and the High Lord of the living land. He is the absolute ruler of his cosm and the high priest of the way of Lanala, a religion worshipping the life goddess Lanala. However, Baruch Ka is both more and less than he appears. The Sar is a cunning strategist and savage warrior, but the unsophisticated nature of the living land makes him easily underestimated by his foes and the other High Lords. Baruch Ka is no true follower of Lanala. He seeks to gather the power for himself rather than the glory of the goddess. So this kind of talks about Baruch Ka. There he is, his stats, just in case you want to try to kill him. Let's see, what else is here? Sar and Lanala. Talks about his relationships with the other High Lords, which is cool. Different policies of religion and clan politics, which are the clans, the other Adinos clans. Yeah, Dave says, I love the change to the possibility energy so that each cosmos possibility energy has a unique effect. Yeah, that's a very cool design for sure. The darkness device, Rekpaken. So each High Lord has a darkness device. That's what allows them to kind of use the possibility energy and come to our cosm. There it is, Rekpen in spear form. Apparently it can change form. That's cool. The stellae of the living land cosm take the appearance of massive menhirs or standing stones. Often these stones are marked with crude engraving of the two-thumbed Adinos hand and the emblem of Lanala. Very cool. Brief history of the Adinos people, trophies and adornments. Language, the call to adventure. So let's see, how much more do we've got? We've still got quite a bit to go. So I think we're gonna call it here for the day as we kind of finish up with showing the clans and tribes. We kind of went over this a little bit, although not the details, but just, you know, when you create a Dinos character, you can pick which tribe you come from. And here are some sort of the details of them. Blue Spine, Ghost clans. The 5 biggest Adinos clans: Red Jaw, Ghost, Gold Sun, White Spear, and Blue Spine. It's all kind of, I like how they're sort of different. They all look like they're different kind of reptiles. Very cool. But that's, I think, where we'll call it for today. And we'll come back next time. We'll come back Friday, and we'll talk about, we'll finish this part. We'll maybe get into the archetypes, look at some of the maps and just some of the other products you can get as part of the Living Land Cosm. There's a ton of PDFs and whatnot. So see, Dave says, next time can we look at all 20 Living Land Cosm cards? We got through all of the cards last time, so yeah, I can definitely try to get through that as well. So thank you guys for watching. I definitely encourage you, if you like Ulysses and you like all of the products we're putting out, not just Torg Eternity, I definitely would suggest that you go check out tomorrow on Thursday at 2 p.m. Timothy Brown, the studio director, and I will be talking about Ulysses news with Ulysses Worlds, is our new our new news show. And Ross Watson will be joining us. I'm sure he'll be talking about myth, tales of legend, and if you have some questions about Living Land, I'll probably answer those. We go over basically all the news that we've missed since last week. So definitely you can go check out the first one where we sort of talk about what we've been doing for the past 4 months in 2020, and then now we're sort of on a weekly schedule, and we'll have a guest each week as well. Probably one of the developers for different games. We'll also have artists on and writers, all kinds of stuff. So definitely check that out. That'll be at 2 p.m. Pacific time on Thursdays. Dave says, when is part 2 of this? So part 2 of this will be Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific. So the Ulisses Grab Bag Show, which is what this show is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So come back, check us out, and we'll go through some more Living Land. So thank you, Padre. Thank you, all the ampersands. Thanks, Dave Haynes, for your chats. Thanks, Wonder Blue, for everything that you guys put in the chat, for helping me out, for telling me what you love about the Living Land and about everything we do here. So thanks, and we'll see you guys on Friday, 11 a.m. Bye-bye.